Welcome to the channel. Today's episode is about the Dunbar Armored Robbery, which is the largest cashed heist in the history of my home country, the United States. The robbers made off with $18.9 million in cold hard cash, which is the equivalent of $30 million in today's paper. The idea was brilliant. Why hit an armored vehicle when it's out on the road with the guards on the lookout expecting it? Instead, their plan was to catch the armored vehicle with its pants down during the vulnerable transition phase where the truck is loaded at the facility before it even hits the road. This criminal heist occurred on September 12, 1997 in downtown Los Angeles, where 6 armed men robbed the Dunbar Armored Facility on Mateo Street. The maestro behind this operation is named Alan Pace III. Watch out for anyone who has a family narcissistic enough to name their kids after themselves 3 generations in a row. A lot of heists go sideways because the team doesn't trust each other. They don't follow the rules. To avoid this problem, Alan Pace convinced a group of his most trusted childhood friends to do the hit, including Eric Boyd, Eugene Hill, Freddie McCary, Terry Brown, and Thomas Johnson. This was integral to the heist because he chose people who were both competent and he could trust. So Alan Pace worked for Dunbar as a regional safety inspector. So yes, this was an inside job. He knew exactly how the operation worked there. Pace couldn't pull off the job by himself because the plan called for overpowering 2 security guards. The Dunbar facility would receive millions of dollars of cash, which they needed to have transported. These armored vehicles are bullet resistant to most shotgun and rifle rounds. They're also resistant to high heat and energy from explosives. This is to thwart would-be criminals from trying to blow open the doors. Most armored cars have 3 security guards who are armed with pistols or shotguns. The driver is instructed to never leave the vehicle in the event of a robbery. These guards are often the target of criminal attacks, so they are well trained and well equipped. 2 of the guards are responsible for delivering the money to the bank or ATM machine, and they carry the cash in bags that are known as cold bags. They often wear body armor and ballistic helmets. This is not what's known as a soft target, which is why smart criminals like Alan Pace found a loophole workaround here. While Alan Pace was working for the Dunbar Armored Car Company, he was able to photograph and examine these cars. He gave his childhood heist team friends detailed floor plans, and he knew all the locations for the security cameras. He hooked them up with some sweet robbery-style ski masks that come from the definitely not going to do a criminal heist aisle at your local sporting goods store. Pace gave his friends a shotgun and a radio headset to help defeat the security that they would encounter. The day right before the heist was going to go down, the team ran into a little speed bump setback. Pace was fired from Dunbar. You won't guess the reason why in a million years. Yes, of course, they caught him tampering with the company vehicles. But they were so close to the $18.9 million, so they weren't going to call off the heist just because of a little setback. The group of 6 got together the night before the heist at a house party in an attempt to establish an alibi and flex that they had friends who would invite them to parties. They left the party in their 14-foot U-Haul in the middle of the night to go over to the Dunbar Armored Facility. I'm guessing if anyone saw them leave the party in a U-Haul, they explained it all away by saying, "Oh, we're gonna go quickly help our friend move his 2-bedroom apartment. We'll be right back." Once they got there, Pace was smart enough to time the security cameras so they could avoid being seen as they entered the facility. He used his own security card to gain access to the facility. Okay, that part going wrong is on the Dunbar Armored Car Company for not deactivating his card once he'd been fired. I'm not victim blaming Dunbar, I'm just saying my hindsight is very strong here. Once the team gained access, they waited in the staff cafeteria and set an ambush for the security guards, who they knew would be taking their lunch breaks one at a time. It was the security guard's job to fill up the armored car with the cash and then drive it to the designated location. These guys were armed with guns and trained to stop criminals, but only when they knew to expect it. The heist team knew exactly where the guards would be taking their break at 12:30. The guards walked into the cafeteria expecting to eat his delicious leftovers his wife had made him when he was attacked from behind and tied up. The heist team quickly and quietly, with ninja levels of precision and without having to fire a single shot, defeated the guards. Since Pace had all of this insider information from working there, he knew that on Friday nights, the vault with all the cash would be left open because all that money needed to be moved from the vault into the armored vehicles. With the security guards knocked unconscious, they raced against the clock to fill as much money into their vehicle as possible. Within 30 minutes, they had $18.9 million in cash loaded up in the U-Haul. You know, U-Hauls are great for two things really, moving studio apartments and pulling off million-dollar heists. The criminals destroyed the recording security camera devices and they left the Dunbar Armored Facility to return to the house party. Not sure why no one asked, hey guys, where did you just pop off to for 45 minutes? And they probably just said, oh, all 6 of us needed to leave together at the same time to get a pizza for the party together. Oh neat, can I have a slice? Of what? The pizza. Oh, I knew we forgot something. If the police ask, you saw us here, right? The police found the tied up Dunbar security guards in the morning, and they instantly could tell that this was an inside job. All the signs were there. How did the robbers know how to pull this off so perfectly? They investigated, but could find zero evidence that Pace was behind it, even though they knew for certain he'd done it. Getting away with it. Pace and his team were incredibly meticulous in their attempt to conceal their new wealth. They hired David Matsumoto and Joaquin Bin for $1 million each for helping launder the money, because when you have that much cash, it's going to point back to you, and if you spend cash instantly, it's going to point back to them. They needed to clean that filthy, dirty criminal $18.9 million they'd stolen. The best way to do it was to give the money to Matsumoto and have him pay them through legitimate W-2s so they could slowly get the money back and it would look legit, like they were earning the money as wages. He also bought property, cars, invested in companies with this money. There was so much cash Pace needed to create front companies to launder the money, which explains all the Hollywood memorabilia stores that you walk into and all they have is like a bunch of fake Oscars on the shelf. Yeah, those are all definitely fronts. Everything was going according to plan for the team for an entire 2 years after the robbery. They had essentially made it, until it all fell apart. One of the robbers, Eugene Hill, made the fatal mistake that the cops had been waiting for when he gave a real estate broker a fat stack of cash that was bound together with none other than the original branded currency straps from the Dunbar facility used on their cash. Eugene Hill's friend went to the police, told them that, hey, I got this stack of cash that clearly looks like it came from the Dunbar facility that was robbed. Detectives saw Hill had rented a U-Haul on the day of the robbery, tying him to the crime. Hill flipped on all of his childhood friends to avoid a harsh prison sentence. Alan Pace tried to maintain his innocence even after his arrest. He was sentenced to 24 years in prison until he was released in 2020. The rest of the team received sentences between 8 and 10 years. The money laundering helpers, Matsumoto, received 2.5 years for their part. Only $5 million of the money was ever recovered. I'm your host, Chris Cappy. Thank you for watching. Please remember to subscribe to the channel.